Hey, this is Retro Nerd Girl, and this is a deep dive on cinema.
Because I knew the stream was coming up, Raiders of the Lost Ark was really on my mind. And I had weeks to prep, so that's why I was kind of watching some of these other films. I'm like, I want to do something a little special for Retro and everyone in the chat. These are images I grabbed them myself. They're all original screen grabs from a lot of the films that influenced Raiders of the Lost Ark. And but more importantly, there's something about these films, something about the spirit of these old films that inspired George Lucas and Steven Spielberg. When you read about it, they seem to be just on the same page about these things. And it also inspired the stuntman. His name is Terry Leonard, who performed the stunts in 1980 while filming. They all knew about the stunts that were performed in the old 1930s serials. And I went back and I watched some of these serials, like Zorro Rides Again. And they're like 16 minutes. And most people, I think, in the modern generation will know of these from Toy Story 2, where Woody realizes he was part of the old serials, right? He was a star. And they have these 16-minute clips where you have to tune in next week to find out. Well, Spielberg and Lucas were boys. So when I think about it, the movies that they're talking about, the Zorro films and Stagecoach came out in 1937 and 1939. So if I start to do the math in my head, that means it was really their dads or their parents that loved those movies. So they must have been little boys picking up on the thrill that their parents were having while watching Zorro and Stagecoach. So these are really their parents' films.
All of these were actually put on television in the 50s. They were able to see those in the 50s on television.
Wow. Okay. So now what shocked me is how excited I got watching them. And there's something about right?
There's energy. They have energy.
And there's something about you're not watching CGI. These guys, they're on horseback. They're really riding those horses, and those horses are going fast. So part of the excitement I got was watching people riding horses at full speed, all on camera, committing themselves to an acting performance and maneuvers and stunts while riding at full speed. There's Zorro riding up alongside a train and leaping onto the train and pulling himself up. And I'm like, he's doing that in front of my face right now. And I think in the age of CGI, where we're almost like numbed by all the action, seeing a real stunt at full speed got me again. And I was like, this is what Lucas and Spielberg, this is what thrilled them as boys. And this is what, when they were in their 1980s prime, when they wanted to add a little bit of that thrill to their movies, that's why all of those guys, the stuntmen, the actor, the director, all of them were like, let's do it. Let's do it. So what I wanted to do was share with you some of these scenes so you can see with your own eyes. Everyone's heard or maybe seen a GIF or a single clip. I wanted to share with you some of the images.
My mommy says that John Ford's Stagecoach is awesome. I can watch the movie over and over.
Tubman, I was blown away by Stagecoach. Again, to me, to my eyes, the movie, when I first hit play and everything, it looked so dated. I was like, man, I hope I can get into this. By the time I was at the end of the film and the Stagecoach was making a break across the plains, I was completely immersed, and I was kind of stunned by the speed and the brute speed of the horses and the stagecoach that they captured on film. And it's John Wayne, so.
Okay. And Stunt Brat, who knows this stuff, the stunts on Stagecoach were Yakima Canute. I went to a tribute to him in the early 80s. He was on stage in a wheelchair.
I became a little fascinated by this individual, Yakima Canute. He's a man of daring. When you say a stuntman, this is the real deal, this guy. His stunts were extremely dangerous. Even when I watch him, even the shots used in the film, he's trampled by one of the horses.
Oh, my God.
It's unbelievable, this guy. And I'll get into some of the details. And again, I'm going to share with you the screenshots so we can we can appreciate the acts of daring from this stuntman almost by himself that inspired one of our greatest and most beloved films in Raiders of the Lost Ark.
This whole my DualShock. Have either of you, the two of you, seen The Fall of 2006? It's about an injured stuntman from the early days of film.
No.
I haven't. Yeah, we'll have to put I'll have to put that on my list.
The Fall 2006. I just wrote it down.
Stunt Brett says my stunt mentor Walt Robles was 17 years older than me. He knew all of these guys, Stuntmen's Association. Oh, that is awesome.
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah. Wow. Well, we're honored to have you on here. Part of the reason I wanted to talk about this was to pay a little homage to the stunt person in these films, because you realize what they're doing and how important and integral they were to capturing something that fascinated the world in these films. So most of us have heard about the stunts at some point in our life that influenced Raiders of the Lost Ark. And if we're lucky, we've seen an image or we've seen something that helped us be like, oh, that must have been it. Well, I took the time to kind of compile all of this so we can get a real serious look at this and the people behind it. Because like I said, I found myself thrilled and reinvigorated by going back. Similar to our discussion with War of the Worlds from 1953 and The Thing from Another World from 1951, seeing those early fingerprints from earlier greats and how they manifested and became, the Battle of Hoth, that's very exciting to me. And I found myself kind of in that same boat again here with Raiders of the Lost Ark. So Zorro Rides Again is one of those great films, one of the serials where you have one of these stunts. That's the movie poster. So just to kind of set the time and place. And it's fun when you watch these. Like I said, these guys are really on horseback. Those horses are really moving. He's really right alongside this truck. This is one of the scenes. This is one of a couple that we'll go over where they absolutely wanted to recapture. And I want to say this. It's not just one scene. I just took a couple still shots for this one trick because it's almost identical to the one in Raiders. But when I was watching Zorro Rides Again, this is like Zorro's move. This is his signature move. He rides up, he comes alongside, he jumps onto the side of a moving locomotive that's going full speed. It's really exciting to watch this guy do these stunts. And he does it repeatedly. So here he is again. Here comes Zorro right up alongside a moving vehicle. And we know what he's going to do. So, he pulls up alongside, leaps onto the truck, swings open the door. He gets into the truck. Exactly the Indiana Jones move. So when Spielberg was directing, when Harrison Ford was, in costume, when Yakima Canutt was standing there, they're reliving this. This is like boys playing.
Oh, yes.
Their favorite heroes from the 1950s, but now we've got millions of dollars behind playing this. We're going to pretend we're Zorro today. And they got to do it. And they did do it. And then here's a picture of Yakima Canutt. This is the actual guy. He was born in 1895, everybody. This guy comes from the 19th century. And he was a legit dude. He was famous in his time and long after for the level of stunts this guy would coordinate. And he was more than just a stuntman who was willing to take risks and do daring things on screen. He began to design and invent tools to make stunts safer and better. So he brought his tools and his devices, things you could do to stirrups and everything else in order to make the stunt more believable and workable. So he really took the stunt profession up a notch. This guy right here. So this guy inspired generations of people with his acts of daring for our entertainment. And just to give a little nod to the ladies, Yakima was married to Kitty Canutt for a couple, not forever. And she herself was no joke. She was an all-around, I'm reading this off Wikipedia, but I was kind of amazed by these people. She was an all-around champion cowgirl in 1916. She's got a whole bunch of accolades herself. She was a real cowgirl. He was a real cowboy. And it was their spirit that was infused into some of these films in the 1930s, which Retro just mentioned, were replayed again in the 1950s. So now you saw him, and I'm doing this in a certain chronological order. Yakima Canutt did that stunt over and over again as Zorro, where he would jump onto the side of a moving train or a truck. And now we have Stagecoach, which, by the way, this is an old film starring John Wayne. This is one of the top 100 films of all time in American history. And it was exciting. So near the end of the film, there's this great action sequence. There's John Wayne on the top of the stagecoach. They're riding across the plains, and they're trying to ward off attacks from Native Americans who are also on horseback, and they're coming in hot. The Native Americans are riding at full speed. The stagecoach is riding at full speed. And there's a team of horses pulling the stagecoach going at full speed. So there's a lot of energy and a lot of power and a lot of speed in these scenes. It's very exciting. And now this is one of the Native Americans who's coming up alongside the stagecoach. This is going to be Yakima Canutt, again, performing this stunt. He comes up alongside. The camera cuts and you see the horse team going at full speed. The people inside the stagecoach trying to defend themselves. Before anything happens, there's this stunt. And this was used in Raiders of the Lost Ark, which frames the desert chase. The idea of working from the back of that column and moving up into to capture the Ark of the Covenant. So this is Yakima Canutt. He leaps from the stagecoach, lands on the horse, leaps from that horse onto the second tier of horses. Now, I took all of these screenshots myself. None of these came from anywhere else. And then he gets from the second team and dives for the lead horses, barely makes it. Look at that body language. He barely makes this, lands on the horse, gets control of himself. And then, of course, it's John Wayne the whole time, turns around to see that everyone's safe and grabs control of the stagecoach. Quite a stunt. And when you watch it, knowing it's live, it's unmistakably exciting. And then this goes back to the scene I was starting with. There's another scene later in the same chase where one of the Native Americans is coming up alongside, right? You can see off to the side, throws the spear away as he pulls alongside the lead horse, leaps from one horse onto another horse in the lead, gets control. They're taking a shot at him. He goes down and under. Does that look familiar, everybody?
Oh, wow. Yes.
Goes under. He kind of migrates down that horse, and then he lets go. He's not holding anything there. And these horses run right over the top of him as he goes out the back of the stagecoach. It was an unbelievable stunt. This was in 1939. And believe it or not, and he was injured. He got hurt. The horse stepped on him, but he was fine. Enough to continue working. And then later that same year, he decided it wasn't enough. He wanted to do the stunt again. So now we're in one of the serials from 1939, Zorro's Fighting Legion. And I have watched several of these episodes, and it's fun. So in a similar episode, and I didn't get this screenshot, but he comes down the side of a mountain, exactly like Indiana Jones.
Yes.
Down the side of a mountain, and he hides out. See this cusp of trees over here? He hides out in this spot, in that shade, until the stagecoach comes whirling around this boulder, right? And then it's very exciting because everyone knows what's coming. He comes bolting out from behind his hiding spot and comes right up alongside the stagecoach very quickly, right? Leaps onto the lead horse again, gets control, abandons his horse. This is Zorro we're talking about. Turns around. I don't know if you can see that. There's his head. He's turning and taking a shot at the stagecoach driver. He ends up ducking when they return fire. And then he does the same thing. He goes under the horse, drags, same thing, and then lets go. This guy's crazy. Let's go, right? Goes, and you can see him under the wheel there. He goes under the stagecoach. What happens? Tune in next week.
Yes.
Death, and find out what happens to Zorro, right? So you have to wait. You have to wait a week. It picks up again the next week. Zorro's Fighting Legion. And here we go again. We pick up the action. There's Zorro at the back of the stagecoach, gets control, climbs up, and then leaps on the stagecoach driver where they have a tussle. You can see it again from a long shot, and then grabs control of that stagecoach.
Oh,
So
wow.
very exciting stuff for Zorro there. Whoops. Hold
Oh,
on.
incredible. Yes.
Yeah. So that's it. I mean, and it's quite something to witness these stunts because they're from their own era. And you
Mhm.
could see how these moviegoers or the movie makers of Raiders of the Lost Ark really embodied that spirit and tried again with Indiana Jones to reintroduce that to a
Yeah.
new
Yeah.
generation. And I would say successfully.
Yes, they yes, very successfully.
Yes.
Joseph Begay mentions the movie Robinson Crusoe on Mars, 1964, had a feel of the early serials, given all the situation and saves the main character that lives through. A very fun Saturday afternoon feature when I was young. Oh, that sounds really
Wow.
cool.
Awesome.
Stunt Brat clarifies retired stunt woman after 23 years. Amazing stuff.
Wow.
Yeah,
I am
amazing.
impressed.
Yeah, amazing career. Lots of really amazing jobs that she's done in the past.
Wow.
Mentions Melrose Place, doubling Courtney Thorne Smith. A horse reared over my car and I crashed through the fence.
Oh my goodness. Wow. Yeah,
And
these stunt people, they're capturing acts of daring, and when they're doing it in real life, there's something that happens to you, the viewer, that you recognize the danger of the scene. It
yeah,
augments the story and it creates a spectacle. And that is where the thrill comes from.
yes,
So, it's Zorro, it's Indiana Jones, but it's those stunt people doing it.
yes, yes, yes. Stunt Brat was saying, "What? Dang, what a stunt!"
No kidding, right?
Yeah, that was crazy.
And he
Oh,
passed away in 1986, so he got to see Raiders of the Lost Ark.
oh, wow. Oh,
Yeah.
that's so cool. Right now, YouTube is going to suggest a video for you to watch. I urge you to do so because that will really help out the channel a lot. And I will be able to continue to make content a lot like this. Without further ado, I bid you adieu, and I'll see you in the next one.